What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I Used to Be Pay, and today I'm back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to review Nicki Minaj's Pink Friday 2 and just talk about everything surrounding the album. Now, first things first, when it comes to Pink Friday 2, I would say that this album is a massive success, pretty much on all fronts: numbers, sales, quality, and pretty much everything in between. And now to get straight into the review, Pink Friday 2 is a very 2023 album. Now, I know you're probably thinking, no duh, it came out in 2023. But what I mean by that is the way it sounds is very obviously from this era. Like in 15 years, when people go back and listen to Pink Friday 2, they're going to say, wow, this sounds like it came out in 2023. Kind of in the way that sometimes if you go and listen to Lil Wayne's music and you hear it and you're like, man, this really does sound like the early 2000s. That's what I mean by that. And this is something that's often asked of older rappers when they make new music, 10, 15, 20 years later into their career is, how is it going to sound? Is the music going to sound like you're trying to adapt and sound like the music that's going on in that current day? Are you trying to appeal to modern day music listeners? Or are you just going to make your same old music that really only appeals to your fan base that has already been established for over a decade? What are you going to do? Are you going to try to adapt? Are you going to just try and stay in your own lane? Or are you going to try to somewhere meet it in the middle? But it appears to me that Nicki Minaj on this project very much went for, she's making music for today's music listeners. And not only making music for today's music listeners, but maybe even making music to try to attract new fans, as she went on Kai Cenat's stream, which kind of corroborates what I was saying about her very much making 2023 music. And by the way, little sidebar, if you're mad at Nicki Minaj for going on Kai Cenat's stream, you're just a hater, dog. Like, I'm not gonna lie. She went on Kai Cenat's stream, promoted her music, had a little bit of fun. It's not that serious. Like, she helped out a black streamer from New York like herself. If you're mad at that, you're just never going to be happy with her. You just don't like Nicki Minaj in any sense or form, because even I, somebody who probably doesn't have the best reputation in terms of Nicki Minaj and liking Nicki Minaj, even though I do, even I would admit, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So Elliot Wilson, whoever else is mad at that, you're just a hater. The album features a lot of singing from Nicki Minaj, which isn't a bad thing. I just didn't expect her to be singing this much, just because, I don't know, didn't expect it. But it's not a bad thing. Again, she can sing. Overall, I would describe this listen as like pretty good. The album starts off with a very good intro and Are You Gone Already, which is a sped up sample of Billie Eilish's song When the Party's Over. And that's what I mean when I say this album does sound very 2023 in the terms of like samples and the beat selection. It just does feel very contemporary. And in my opinion, the first half of the album is the better half of the album. That's where pretty much all the songs that I really like and the songs that I think are the best on the project are located. Songs like FTCU, Falling For You, Let Me Calm Down, Needle, R&B, and Everybody, which is kind of like right in the middle. Those are the songs that I think are the best on the project. So for me, the first half is better than the second half, but that's not to say that the second half of the album is like trash or anything like that. J. Cole by far has the best feature on this album, in my opinion, and J. Cole and Nicki make a very good team on this song, and I think Let Me Calm Down is my favorite song by far. Maybe at least just at the moment, maybe down the line it'll change, but for me, for surely, that is my favorite song. And I feel like this song has been broken down a ton already, so I don't really need to break it down any further, but the song Everybody featuring Lil Uzi Vert is also one of my favorites on the project, and it's Nicki Minaj's take on the entire like Jersey club music scene that's grown over the past 2 to 3 years. And again, this is another example of her making music that sounds like 2023. This song is literally 2023 put into a bow. The sample, the Jersey club beat, Lil Uzi on it, the dancing, like everything about this song is 2023. So that's what I mean if you're looking for an example of me saying, oh, this album sounds like 2023. A song like Everybody is a perfect example of that. And I'm not saying that because it's a bad thing. I love the song. It's cool. It's fun. So don't get it twisted and act like I'm trying to say that's a bad thing. Now, the second half of the project is weaker than the first half, in my opinion, especially because 3 of the songs from the second half of the project are songs that have already been released before Pink Friday 2. But the second half of the album does still have highlights, songs like Pink Friday Girls and Blessings, which seems to be like Nicki Minaj's attempt almost at a gospel song. Those are still songs that I really enjoy as well. And then also songs like Red Ruby to Sleaze and Super Freaky Girls, which are songs, again, that have already came out, but songs that I already enjoyed, so I'm not mad at their inclusion. Now to get to some of my issues that I have with this project. The biggest one that I have is that it just feels like there's some filler on this project. Stuff that really just doesn't need to be there. And if you know anything about me, you know that I historically am not a fan of albums that are super long, albums that are 20 songs plus. I really feel like that's kind of unnecessary. So I feel like there's a couple of songs that really could have been cut from this album and are probably just there to help with the overall streams and help with the overall sales, because if you have more songs, you obviously have more opportunity to get more streams. And when I say the album has filler, that doesn't even mean that those songs are necessarily like trash or bad, but there's songs that just really don't need to be there. They don't really add anything to the album. They're good enough to where it's not like, oh my God, why did Nicki Minaj release this? But they're not good enough to where it's like, yeah, this sounds like an album quality song. They just kind of seem to be placeholders for more streams. I would say songs like My Life, Forward from Trini, and Beep Beep just really don't need to be on the project. Again, they're not terrible songs, but they just kind of serve no purpose in my opinion, and I know people are going to be a little bit upset at that. And again, they're not bad songs, they just don't hold up the quality that a lot of the other songs on this project hold up. Overall, though, I would say that this is a good release from Nicki Minaj. I've enjoyed listening to it over the past 2 weeks now, and I'm going to enjoy listening to it going on to the future, into the weeks and following months and stuff like that. And if I were to give this album a rating anywhere between 1 and 10, I'd probably give it like a 7, around that area. In terms of sales, the album sold about 228K first week, with 92K of those sales being pure album sales, and the album went #1. So this is obviously a huge W for Nicki Minaj. Those are great numbers, and these are numbers that are coming out in an era where a lot of people tend to suffer a little bit when it comes to selling projects. Pretty much everyone's numbers are down at the moment, besides like the really, really big dogs. So it's nice to see Nicki come in and be able to sell over 200K. And I predicted this album to sell about 270K first week, so I overshot it a little bit. Nothing crazy, but still didn't quite hit the mark. But overall, this is a huge W for Nicki, and no other female rapper is currently doing those numbers. Like, it's just the truth. The closest right now is probably like Doja Cat, who sold almost like 70K. So in terms of numbers, nobody's really rivaling her album sales at the moment. Not to mention, this is also Nicki's 5th album in like 12 years, I believe. So the longevity there is extremely impressive. You just can't do anything but clap it up and give her a round of applause. I don't care if you're her biggest hater. Selling 220K, 225, 230K on your 5th album after 12 years is impressive, no matter how you want to slice it. And when it comes to Nicki Minaj, it's only natural to compare her to Cardi B. I know people don't want to do, well, you compare. It's just how rap works, okay? We compare people, especially when they don't like each other. So if you're going to ask me, would Cardi B be able to sell 228K first week in this modern era? I'd honestly say yes. I think she could. But there's a little bit more context than just like her just dropping an album. It would also be her first project in almost 6 years, and pretty much everything that she drops goes close to #1 in terms of singles or gets on the Billboard pretty high. So I think that she would be able to do similar numbers to these, especially after such a long break in between her first project and whatever would be next, because that first one was so well regarded and liked by so many people. But also, I don't even know if we're ever going to get another album from her. She doesn't seem to be dropping an album anytime soon. So all you can say is clap it up to Nicki. Cardi B, hey, if you do it, whatever, that's great. But if you don't, oh well. But overall, this entire process has been a W for Nicki Minaj, in my opinion. The sales, the numbers, the publicity, everything surrounding it has been a victory, in my humble opinion. I think this further cemented her spot as the unchallenged #1 female rapper in the game and one of the biggest rappers in the game in general. Now, obviously, she didn't sell like Drake or Kanye numbers, but they're Drake and Kanye numbers, or Drake and Kendrick numbers, for a reason. Not anybody's just doing them. And even Travis Scott, I know people want to talk about Travis Scott. He sold like 400 some K, but half of those was pure sales. So again, different era, different sales, whatever. But overall, you just got to give Nicki her respect. That's the overall theme that I'm going to end this video with. Give Nicki Minaj her respect. I know she doesn't like me and her fans don't really like me, but you got to respect her. This project wasn't perfect by any means. There were some things that could have been improved upon, things that could have been removed. But in my opinion, overall, it's a good release from an artist who is very far into her career and still making great music. So whatever, if you disagree, if you agree, leave some likes down below. Barbs, I don't really know how you can be mad at this video, but I'm sure you're going to find a way. But leave a comment if you think I'm smart, if I'm dumb, if you think I don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever you got to say in the comments. Tell me that, you know, my breath looks like it stinks. Whatever you got to say, it helps me a ton. So leave a like, leave a subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Have a good day. Be safe, be blessed. Peace.